Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum, boys and girls. Welcome back. It is 8 o'clock on the East Coast, and it is 7 o'clock in the Texas coast. And we are here on Tuesday evening live because that is what we do at this time. We come to you live on YouTube and on Periscope and, wherever else you want to find us, I suppose, for all that's worth. But here we are this evening. We're here. We're back, and we're here for another amazing show. And tonight we're going to be talking about. I'm not gonna tell you because it's not time for that yet. However, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the hardest working imam that I know, Imam Azhar.
Hey, assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Raw Islam. I don't know what coast of Texas Brother Carl is referencing to. I'm thinking about maybe Corpus Christi, somewhere down there south, but we're kind of up north here in Dallas, in the Dallas area. But nevertheless, we welcome you to another episode where we spark discussion and dialogue on topics that you, the listeners, select on issues and matters that relate to all of us, and they're contemporary, they're live, it's fluid, as we say. And so, thank you for joining us. And as we're sharing this on all the outlets possible, we need you, our listeners, to share it within your circles so that the conversation can be sparked further and the discussion can be more broader and that solutions could be found to the predicaments in our world today. Without further ado, I'm going to give it back to our brother Carl, who is managing the phone, managing the computer, making sure everything is live streaming, and he's talking. So he's not multitasking. I don't know what he's doing. But Carl, tell us, what's the topic of the week?
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, for all of you that are new to the show, or for those of you that have not participated in the past, if you go over to Twitter, you can find us at VennNetwork, VennNetwork, and you can follow us over there on Twitter. And every Monday, we post a poll where you, our listeners, our fans, our followers, you're the ones that get to pick the topic of the week. What other podcast, what other show gives you that ability? Where else can you be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to watch Friends this evening, and I'd really like to see them go to a pizza parlor instead of the coffee shop. And that was a really bad reference, but it just shows how much I watch TV. But anyway, with that, ladies and gentlemen, this week's poll was, that is the wrong window. This week's poll was earthquakes and flooding. Justice for Elijah. Rami Malek says no to 007. And of course, my favorite grab bag, what's the deal with? And you, as you can see, 67% of you that voted that tonight we're going to be discussing earthquakes and flooding. And I know for me personally, this was originally picked by Imam Azhar, and he had wanted to talk about the earthquakes in California, and I said, being from the DC area, I'm sure everybody saw the news. I was like, no, we're going to talk about flooding and earthquakes. But we're definitely not going to be talking about climate change because climate change isn't real. So, back to you, Imam Azhar.
So, enough with this hoax and this lie about climate change, Brother Carl. It's just another diversion, and a whole bunch of these so-called scientists who wear glasses and white coats think they know everything about the world. I tell you, Carl, it's just a big lie, and lying is haram in Islam.
And they're all Democrats too, I bet.
So let me tell you guys a story. I went to Trump Towers. I think I talked about this in one of our podcasts before. After Trump was elected, I went to Trump Towers when I was in New York. And outside of Trump Towers, there were many pro-Trump protesters and people who were articulating very clearly their support for Trump. And I met this very intelligent, I have to say. He looked very intelligent. He spoke very intelligently. He was a Chinese fellow American, And we started talking about climate change because his sign he was holding was climate change was a hoax, and this is a lie, and how the climate summit that they have is actually a secret deal, a discussion where the world comes together and leaders discuss under the wraps stuff, like things that are hidden secrets, but under the banner of climate change. So, anyways, I tried to reason with him on how the world is actually functioning. And Carl, tell us, DC is flooded right now, right? No? There's areas in Washington that are flooded?
Actually, no. So what happened? And I mean, it. I mean, honestly, I mean, legitimately, for a good 5 hours, maybe 6 hours, it was really bad. And there's
Mm-hmm.
still cleanup taking place today. But what happened was the I mean, legitimately, the skies just opened. Like I was on my way to work and there was like nothing. Like it was sun. I mean, in front of me it was sun and it was great. But I looked in my side view mirror behind me and it was just this thick black clouds that just engulfed everything.
Mm,
And really the skies just opened up, and rather than rain, it just dumped on us. Like it just dumped. And what ended up happening is our infrastructure doesn't support it. Like,
mm,
I mean, as soon as there's just a sufficient amount of rain, there are places in Maryland that are totally flooded out. But because there was so much so quickly, and our
mm-hmm.
infrastructure here doesn't support it, I mean, it flooded everything. But like I said, within 5 hours, the water had receded. Everything was good. There's a bridge that I drive over on the way to work. Going in this morning, it was almost dry again. So, but yeah, for a good 2 3 hours, it was just everything was washed away.
Well, it's just interesting because right now I'm looking at a news report. There's a system that is developed off the Gulf Coast, and it's going to bring down torrential rain over the weekend. And this is what they're saying it can mean trouble for people around the USA. I'm looking at the projected forecast from Friday to Monday. According to AccuWeather local storm max, there's a chance of 24 inches of rain from Houston all the way to Birmingham, Alabama, and Little is going to be happening in the upcoming days. We pray to Allah for all of those people. But at the same time, you look at India, the west coast of India is flooded to the extent that they closed down the Mumbai airport. People around the world miss flights in and out of Mumbai because they had to shut the place down. It was flooded. But then you go to the east side of India, or the southeast side of India, Chennai and stuff, they're facing record drought. They're literally digging for water as we speak. So we're finding these extremes in our world. And when I spoke to that Chinese individual in New York about it, he said that historically this is part of a cycle. The glaciers melt, they come back again. Weather gets violent, goes back again. Where it's cold, it gets hot. Where it's hot, it gets cold, and it goes back again. So according to him, and again, I'm saying he's an intelligent a person because people tend to be sold on what's been presented to them in a way that um, it makes sense. And if it makes sense and they buy into it, then anyone will believe that Santa Claus is real. He travels so fast that he goes to every house on the earth in a fraction of the night, and he delivers gifts to every person in the house. Again, logically, that's not possible. If you calculate it, it's literally minutes in each city, seconds in each town, uh, less than a few hours, less than an hour in each country. If you look at the night, less than an hour in each country. It's practically impossible. But people who are intelligent PhDs, people who have PhDs and degrees, will tell you that Santa Claus is real. And let's be real here, it's not. It sounds good to tell the kids that there's some guy who knows what you're doing, but it's not. Uh, when you come to climate change, you find the most intelligent people who will debate the fact that climate change isn't real. So the question is, what are we facing right now in this world, and what did California just face last week in the course of our between last show and this show? We've had multiple tremors, and a tremor that was followed by the real earthquake that hit 7.1, and um, It was over a minute long. So what are we facing in this world? That's the question. I gave a sermon on it this Friday of how our world is falling into abyss and we're in a big mess. And partially that mess on a spiritual note, and that's what I want to talk about, and of course we'll engage, is that a spiritual note is that Allah had predicted that there's going to be chaos and corruption on this earth. There's going to be a great deal of problems on this earth, and we're seeing maybe some of it. We may not be seeing all of it yet, and that's the scary part. What we are witnessing right now is maybe just the tip of the iceberg. And so that's going to happen, and it's going to happen because of what we do. So if you don't believe in climate change, if you don't believe that it's man-made, do believe that fracking, do believe that pollution, do believe that the the fumes that our cars emit, carbon dioxide, and all that's happening in our world is contributing towards an adverse situation in our world. You cannot turn on the oven and expect not to get burned when you put your hand inside. It's it's impossible. So we're turning the oven on by doing all the things that we're not supposed to do to the earth, and we're saying there's no fire. That's really not possible. So the solution Islamically and spiritually is, and this was what I was talking about, the gist of my talk was, we are living today in a world full of actions, but a world that is facing a drought when it comes to deeds. Deeds are actions which are commanded by God, or virtuous actions which hold reward in the sight of God, so long it's done for God alone. Yes, we're protesting. Yes, we are writing up banners. Yes, we're calling politicians. Yes, we are voting. Yes, we are saying no to fracking. Yes, we're saying no to taking away indigenous people's lands. But it's still happening. So we are doing actions which are considered reactions to the actions of others, which are demonic actions. What we need now is a world full of deeds, where we restore goodness on this earth through what God has commanded, and at the same time doing what is right only for the sake of pleasing the Lord. That's really on a religious scale how we can capitalize on the problems that we're facing today, because the debate will go on about climate change till the cows come home. Believe me on that. It's going to continue. But till then, our world will be destroyed, and that's a fact. I fear for the people who live on the Gulf Coast, for the people who live not even in Arabia, by the Red Sea, by the Gulf of Aden, Arabia. What's happening there? These type of cyclones that just develop and throw down torrential rain and hail and winds. It's just never happened before. Hurricanes. I lived through many hurricanes in Florida between 2002 and 2017. Sorry, 2018. But I've never seen the might of hurricanes as the one that hit Pensacola and the Panhandle last year, the last hurricane, Harvey, I think it was. So things are getting real. And at the end of the day, there's only two solutions: respect the world and treat it right. And number two, if you're a person of religion and a person of God, then go back to teachings of your faith and do it right for the sake of God, so that God could help fix what we have broken. Carl?
So we have there is one comment here from YouTube. So I know that sometimes the feed freezes, and I mean it comes right back, and I do my best, but with the equipment that I'm working with, it's the best I can do with what I have. But with that being said, L Sunshine, I'm not sure if that's supposed to be Little Sunshine, but L Sunshine. Yes, he was being sarcastic. He and I both believe in climate change being real. We both acknowledge it as being a thing and a problem. And as he just said about faith, Islam teaches us that, and I forget the exact wording, but Islam teaches us that we're supposed to move without leaving footprints. We're like, there's no trace, like you were never there. And obviously as Imam Mazhar said, with the exhaust coming out of our cars and the ozone being torn away, we're obviously not treating the earth like we weren't there. We're leaving a big space, we're leaving a big hole. And the other thing I would add, that you're 100% right. And for the years I've been in DC, I've seen the hurricanes, I've seen the rain, but I've never seen it dump so much so quickly in DC like that. There were photos people were posting from the internet, from metro stations, subways, tubes, wherever you're from in the universe, L trains, and they have elevators, and the water was just coming straight down the elevator shaft because it was so heavy so quick. And the other thing was, I don't know if you saw it, but after that 7.1 earthquake in California, they were showing side-by-side satellite pictures. And after the 7.1, it's visible. The fault line is visible. You can see it from space.
Yes.
It literally split the earth. And the other one that I was reading today, which and by my own admission, I didn't go too far into it, so I don't know exactly what the story was. I just got the headline from it. But they're saying that there's a new red algae that's coming. And it's coming around the coast, right where that storm is building. And they're saying it's deadly to humans, it's deadly to wildlife, it's deadly to all kinds of things. And this red algae is going to show up. My cousin lives where you used to live in Florida, and I had never heard of the
red tide.
The red tide, I had never heard of it, and so I asked her what that was, because I guess it happens every year, and normally it's like a month or a couple of weeks or whatever. But this year it went on for weeks, and these dead fish were just rolling up on the shore, and it was really abnormal. And regardless of your faith, regardless of whether you're a Christian or a Muslim or you're Jewish or you're Buddhist or you're Hindu, the earth is something that we've been gifted, that we're supposed to entrust and we're supposed to take care of. It's a gift. And really, I mean, we're just screwing it up. We're just screwing it up beyond belief. And I mean, I don't know what we do. And that's the thing, is I'm not a scientist, so I don't know what the cutoff point is. Have we passed this point where it's like, well, might as well use plastic straws anyway, because... And I mean, and I do believe what you were saying is that I do believe exactly what you were saying, that there are cycles. And for me personally, I mean, especially where I grew up in the countryside, Mother Nature does self-correct. And so maybe we have to have an ice age to self-correct. Maybe we have to flood out. But that's the thing, is that I was looking at a map on like major flooding, and the amount of refugees, especially in the India area, that's the one that most of the studies focus around. The amount of refugees that are going to be created, like India's like half the country's just gone. It's just underwater. So I mean, I don't have a good answer. I don't, because I don't know, but it scares the hell out of me, honestly.
And so you're talking about like red tide and stuff. Red tide has a tendency to suffocate the animals of the water by taking out the oxygen from the water, and they die. After coming back from Florida, where I was for 2 weeks in the beginning of this month, in the beginning of June, there was 2 cases I read about flesh-eating bacteria.
That was the one. That's the one. It's a new algae that's flesh-eating.
Flesh-eating. And like, I took my family to the beach. We stayed there for a while, but we didn't go into the water. But it's scary that that there may be flesh-eating bacteria. And one of the cases was in Ave Maria. I think it was Ave Maria, or what was that? There's an island close to Punta Gorda where she was walking and she scraped against one of the sea rocks, and the bacteria got into her and she died. It's like, what's going on in our world? You didn't hear about these type of things before. Our world had seasons. Like you knew when winter was coming about. You know, there's like one major storm in winter, then it was summer, and then there's like hot days in summer. But the heat right now across the country is unbearable heat. The heat is so bad. And I feel sorry for people who are up in New York and stuff where their apartment complexes are regulated when it comes to heat and AC, that there is no AC during certain months until it turns on whenever it's agreed upon. Like, it's scary what's happening. And as Carl said, let's put aside our faith and our patriotism. Let's put aside our commitment to our world or whatever it may be, and let's talk about the real issue. The world is dying. I don't care how rich you are. Your money's not going to buy salvation on this earth, especially when this earth is dying. Like, the earth will die. There'll be no food. Your money, you can eat your money and it's not going to taste good. You don't know how many people put their hands on those dollar bills before it got to you.
I was just gonna
So
say that.
so good luck having a good meal with eating your dollar bills and your quarters and your nickels and your dimes. It's not going to work. And for those who think that we're going to get out to Mars just in time, goes to show how much of a screwball you are. I'm sorry for my English here, that you want to destroy this Earth and you just want to go off somewhere else and start anew. It's not going to be a different result. You messed up this Earth. You're going to mess up Mars also. If you messed up this universe of ours, it's like this world and this universe, go to another Milky Way and you'll mess it up also. So at the end of the day, human nature is that they will repeat what they've become accustomed to doing. And so our goal is today to discuss, are we really accustomed to destruction? Like, are we accustomed to destroying things? You know, when we were kids, we would sometimes take, the pencil, and then you had the eraser here. And sometimes, we'd peel this thing away and take the eraser out. I don't know if it was a kid things or phase, but we used to play hockey with it or play soccer with it on the desk. Thing was, that's also a question. When people become accustomed to just breaking a pencil, where does it end? You could break ground, you can destroy rivers, you can contaminate, you could pour a can of oil from your car oil change that you did in your garage into the gutter system. Who's there to stop you to do it? People do it, right? It tells you not to do it because it goes out to the creeks and stuff, but like, who gives? I don't want to put it in the garbage can. It's too heavy. Let me just drain it down into the gutter system. So I believe that type of rationale comes when a person does not understand the gravity of the consequence of what they're doing. And so to talk about consequences, the world is telling you, stop it. The earth is shaking, saying, stop it. The Quran says, إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْض, when the earth is going to shake, violent shaking, and it's going to take out its burden. And the human being, so what's happening to it? What's happening to it is exactly what you did to it. Fracking alone, to me, is like a red flag. Why are we fracking for oil? I just don't understand that. Someone just developed or created or built a car that runs on salt water. In the 70s, someone built a car that was fuel efficient. I believe he was later found dead. So whatever the industry of gas is, there's only so far you can get. But I tell you, cars can run on more things than just oil. It can run on gas. It can run on batteries, Tesla. It can run on air. It can run on anything you say it can run on. There's not one source. There's now fuel they're making out of algae. There's so many things that it can run on. So why we become greedy? Today we had a call with clergy members as we're preparing for an event at the end of this month to talk about real issues that are plaguing our society. And the underlying thing that all faiths talked about through their scriptures was greed and selfishness. And it really goes down to that. When you're so selfish and greedy for that extra dollar, you don't even know what you're doing to yourself. Yeah, you may enslave Bangladeshis or Sri Lankans or Filipinos in these small factories where they're making clothing garments for you. Fine. You're torturing them, but guess what? That torture comes back to haunt you and your family. The world is round. I always tell people the world is round. You cross over a bridge, you're going to be crossing back on it again very soon. maybe from a different angle, but you're going to be there. So, Carl, the California earthquakes, our prayers to all of them. The first tremor that was 6.3 or 6.4, I believe, which was considered the earthquake, was 5 miles below the earth, which is very shallow. The second one was, I think, 25, but again, it was higher in its strength and power, 7.1. But our prayers go out to all those who are there and all the crazy weather happening around our world. We just need to stop. I promise you. And I want our listeners to go and study and find out how much water, how many gallons of water are used to stitch one pair of jeans. Let's give one homework, one thing to do. One pair of jeans, how many gallons of liquid water is used to put that one pair of jeans together? And tell me, if we all stop buying and hoarding, especially at a time where, I don't know, up in Virginia or where you are as listeners, but here in Dallas, I've noticed there's been sales upon sales upon sales upon sales. Like, everything is always on sale. The economy isn't doing that good. We talked about that a few episodes ago, but nevertheless, just because it's cheap doesn't mean you need it. If we stop the industries of supply and demand and slow them down, then we could slow down the impact that we're having on this earth. But if we're going to say, hey, that $90 jean is now an $18, I'm going to buy it because I need it, you don't need it. You really don't need it. So everyone, including the consumer, including a person who's living in their mom's basement, everyone is contributing towards ruining this climate one way or the other. If we can slow down the greed upstairs, then we can slow down the destruction downstairs, which is the earth and what's below the earth. Carl?
Yeah, I mean, this may be a super bizarre like parallel, but it's true. When I was actually studying for my master's, we took a whole class on this, on the concept of fast fashion, which is going to be places like Old Navy, Gap, just places like that. And you're right. It's made in Bangladesh, and it uses. I will just say that to our listeners, definitely go research how much water goes into a pair of jeans, and come back next week and let's talk. But what it does to the environment, what it does to the economy, and the stuff isn't made to last. This stuff is literally made to fall apart. It's why it's called fast fashion, is because you're going to buy it, it's going to fall apart, you're going to throw it away, something else is going to be on sale, and you're going to get another pair of something else that's new and ready to go. Excuse me, and that's I mean, that's what it's designed to do. So, it really does go back to, we have to take care of what's ours. And yeah, granted, we, like you said, we can load up and we can go to Mars. And I saw a headline the other day that, oh, is there life on one of Saturn's moons? Yeah, great. We're going to go find that out. But in the meantime, we're all going to burst into flames and just die here. We need to adjust the way we live. We need to adjust what we do and how we live. I know during Ramadan, you and I, one of the things that I think we've done it both years now, we've talked about the waste of food, wasting food, and the amount of food that is wasted. And again, going back to, there's places in India that can't grow food right now. I actually had an amazing conversation with some people from Kenya today, and they were saying that there's all these tribes that have been, that they've been like farmers, but not farmers, but herders their entire life. Like they've raised sheep, and they've raised goats, and they've raised cows, and they slaughter them, and they eat them, and they raise new ones, and that's what they do. But the water and stuff is so bad that it's easier for them to literally grow tomatoes and onions and raise and sell those than it is the animals, because there's no water to raise these animals anymore. And it's, what are we going to do? What changes are we going to make, not only in our spiritual life, but in our physical life, to help maintain some of these changes? And I think with that, I'm going to throw it back to you for this evening's final thought.
Well, it sickens it sickens me, and that's why, as anything in this world, there has to be some level of discipline in human beings also. Cars are programmed, GPS are programmed in cars. Cars have computers. It's programmed to identify certain problems and to notify the driver. Animals that you bring to your home and domesticate, there is a training process. Phones and computers, tablets and home systems, from Ring to Google Voice to Alexa, everything is programmed. It's called programming. It's all part of parcel of what makes it stand out to us. We love Alexa. We love the Google thing. I don't know what that small little Google thing is. What do you call that?
Home,
No, is it called
home,
Chrome?
home,
Duo?
home, home, home.
Google Home. Google Home. One thing that attracts many people to all of these things is the discipline that is demonstrated by these computers and systems and technologies, or the animals, the dogs and the cats, the rabbits, or whatever you train. When are humans going to train themselves to be humans? That's really the thought of the night I want to leave our listeners with. Our topic was climate change. Our topic was, again, the earthquakes in California and the floods that are coming up this weekend on the Gulf Coast. But I have to take blame tonight. You have to take blame tonight. We all have to take blame tonight. When you throw out food, you're contributing towards the CO2 that's being released into our environment. When you throw bleach or you throw chemicals down the sink, you are contributing towards this. You could walk into the grocery store right now, or to Walmart or Target or any of these stores, and you could have a natural supplement to your 409 spray or your Comet, or to your everyday use of scrubbing bubbles. These are chemicals. Take for a second that you're going to spray that stuff and it's going to go down into the water, only to re-emerge that you, your children, your grandchildren are going to drink. Yeah, it's been purified, but it's already contaminated the water. You could buy the alternative, which is plant-based, oil-based, natural, cleaner, but it'll cost $3 more. But guess what? Your $3 more today may save the environment one more day tomorrow. Isn't that worth it? Isn't that worth it? I just want us to think. We don't think, we talk. But let's think. Let's go home and find out tonight how many gallons of water are used to make a pair of jeans. Let us ask ourselves before sleep tonight, when are humans going to discipline themselves? And number 3, am I ready to make the lifestyle changes that will pinch my pocket today but save my generation tomorrow? Or am I going to look for the cheapest thing out there and speed up the process of this earth destruction? The ball is in your court. I hope you make the right decision. Back to you, Carl.
So, I think this is about to be one of the best social media responses that I've ever done on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And just in case anybody was wondering, we are on episode 89, so we inshallah might hit 100 before the end of the year. Woohoo!
Wow.
But we respond to all comments on social media, and so at Stupid Donkey, hello back to you. Thank you for your comment, Stupid Donkey. That's, if that's your screen name, that's your screen name. Let's go. And Stupid Donkey, for those that don't know, is watching us on Periscope on Twitter, so we're over there as well. And that is going to be VennNetwork, VennNetwork. And let's see if I can do this. It's actually right here in the logo, and it's also right here in the email address, where you can drop us an email if you have any questions, comments, thoughts on the show that you'd like to share. They may get read on air. Same with the phone number. You can send us a text message, or you can leave us a voicemail, which, as a disclaimer, may get played on the air or read on the air or whatever. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank everybody who joined us online this evening. I would like to thank L Sunshine. I would like to thank Stupid Donkey. And that is going to be my new favorite thing, and I think we're going to end up going and following him just because of his screen name. That's awesome. Thank you for commenting, Stupid Donkey. If you would like to learn more about the Venn Network and learn more about the shows on the Venn Network, head over to VennNetwork.org. And if you click the little swag tab at the top, you can find neat little things like the shirt I'm wearing. And you help support the show, you help support the network, and you help support the hosts. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, VennNetwork, VennNetwork, where you can take place in the poll and you can direct the conversation of next Tuesday's show. So until next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will say Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.